There once was a young girl named Matilda who lived in a small English village. Now Matilda was quite the extraordinary child. She was 5½ when she entered school for the first time. The village school was a bleak brick building called Cruncham Hall Primary School. Naturally, Matilda was put in the bottom class. There were 18 other boys and girls just her age. The teacher was called Miss Honey. Now today is the very first day of school for each of you here at Cruncham Hall, where, as you know, your headmistress is Miss Trunchbull. I myself want to help you to learn as much as possible in this class. Now then, do any of you happen to have learnt the 2 times tables already? I do! I'm Matilda! 2 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 3, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 5 is 10. Stop! How far can you go? Well, I don't really know. For quite a long time, I think. We've all had to deal with bullies before in our lives, but maybe not quite as magically as Matilda does. Join her as she learns to overcome her rotten principle and help those around her in Matilda by Roald Dahl. Matilda's first day of school ended in a success, and soon the class fell into a routine, while Miss Honey taught the rest of the students such things as the 2 times tables and how to spell words like C-A-T, cat. Matilda would read books borrowed by the senior class. Now, school for Matilda was like a dream, but unfortunately, everything has its bad side, and Cruncham Halls came in the form of the headmistress, Miss Trunchbull. Now, Matilda had heard rumors about the Trunchbull, like that she once threw a kid over the fence for not liking her hair, or that she once made a kid eat an entire cake just from stealing from the school cafeteria. But Matilda didn't feel Trunchbull's full wrath until that Thursday, the one day a week when the Trunchbull took over the class. Good afternoon, students. What a bunch of nauseating little wards you are. It makes me nauseous to think that I'm going to have to deal with a load of garbage like you in my school. The Trunchbull forced the kids into a line, and their hands were inspected on both sides. They were quizzed on both spelling and the 2 times tables. One kid was forced to stand in the corner with his leg up for having a stain on his shirt. 2 other children were flung across the room by their ears for not knowing what 2 times 7 was. And by the end, the whole class had heard about every insult possible, from walking germ factory to ignorant little slug. You know, I've never been able to understand why children are so disgusting. Oh, what is it? It's a snake, it's an alligator. Look out, Miss Trunchbull, all that it bites. You, Matilda, stand up. Who, me? What have I done? You have put a creature in my drinking water. There is no worse crime in the world against a headmistress. You're not fit to be in this school. But I didn't do anything. I've never seen a creature before like that in my life. I hate it. It's not fit. I wish you could just pour the glass all over her head. Oh, who did it? Come on, end up. Who pushed over this glass? Oh, well, I am fed up with the useless bunch. I refuse to waste any more of my precious time in here. Phew. Well, that was exciting for a second. Why don't you all go out to the playground and amuse yourself until the next lesson? Matilda, aren't you going outside? Miss Trunchbull isn't going to expel me, is she? Because it wasn't me who put that creature in a jug of water. I promise. I think not. Headmistress simply got a little overexcited. Good. But that isn't what I wanted to talk to you about, Miss Honey. You saw the glass of water spill all over Miss Trunchbull, didn't you? Well, I didn't touch it. I didn't even go near it. But it was me, Miss Honey. I don't quite understand. I did it with my mind. I wished for it to happen, and the glass just toppled over. Could you do it again? Oh, I think so. Tip, glass, tip. See, just like that. Oh, I don't believe it. It's not possible. You won't tell anybody about this, will you, Miss Honey? Oh, I wouldn't dream of it. Miss Honey, is Miss Trunchbull always so awful? Do you think I could help with my new power? What Matilda didn't realize is the students and staff of Cruncham Hall had been trying to get rid of Miss Trunchbull for years. Miss Honey tried to get Matilda to realize this by telling her about her own childhood. You see, Miss Honey was none other than Miss Trunchbull's niece. When Miss Honey was Matilda's age, her parents mysteriously died, leaving Trunchbull behind to be her legal guardian. To make matters worse, her parents' will was never found. But not to worry, because Miss Trunchbull happened to produce a piece of paper supposedly written by Honey's father, saying that he left the house to his stepsister for all of her kindness.
This left Miss Honey with nothing. As Miss Honey recounted her tragic tale with a tear in her eye, a light bulb bing flashed in Matilda's mind. Miss Honey, what did Miss Trunchbull call your father? She called him Magnus, that's what his name was. And what did your father call Miss Honey? Call Miss Trunchbull? She called her Agatha, that's what her name was. And what did your father call you? He called me Jenny. A beautiful plan was beginning to form in Matilda's mind to help Miss Honey on how to get rid of Miss Trunchbull. Every day after school, she would lock herself in her room and practice until the next Thursday came around, as the entirety of Miss Honey's class knew was the day that Miss Trunchbull would take over the class.
I'm glad to see that there are no more creatures than by drinking water.
Very well.
Let's see how well you know your 3 times tables. Or rather, let's see how poorly Miss Honey has taught you. You recite 3 times tables backwards. Backwards? Well, I haven't learned it backwards! She's taught you nothing. Very well, answer me this. I have 3 apples, 3 oranges, and 3 bananas. How many pieces of fruit do I have altogether? But that's adding up! That's not the 3 times tables! That is the 3 times tables, you ignorant little. 3 times 3 is 9. Can't you see that you stagnant cesspool? Look at the chalk! The chalk is moving all on its own. It's writing something! Everyone in the room looked up at the chalkboard, and there, sure enough, a brand new piece of chalk was hovering near its surface. Agatha, it wrote. Who's writing this? What is the meaning of this? Who is doing this? Agatha, this is madness. This is madness. No, it can't be madness. Give my Jenny back her house and then get out of here. If you don't, I will come and get you. I will come and get you like you got me. I am watching you. Agatha. Oh no. Look, she's fainted! Someone go and fetch the matron at once. Everyone in the students jumped out of their seats to get a really good look. And there she was, the full figure of the headmistress, just full length across the floor. As for Matilda, she just sat in her desk. Well, I think you'd all better go outside and amuse yourself until the next lesson. Matilda. Yes, Miss Honey? Thank you. Later that day, news began to spread that the Trunchbull recovered from her fainting fit and then marched right out of the school building. She did not show up to school the next day. Mr. Trilby, the deputy head, decided to go to her house and investigate. And it seemed Miss Trunchbull had vanished. On the second morning, Miss Honey received a letter informing her that the will of her late father had been found. It informed her that the property known as the Red House, was actually rightfully hers. And that all of her father's savings had been left for her. Great changes were also taking place at school. Mr. Trilby replaced Miss Trunchbull as headmaster, and not soon after that, Matilda was moved up to the top floor, where the teacher, Miss Plimsoll, discovered that this amazing child was every bit as bright as Miss Honey had told her.